Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers. I'm looking at a book this morning from Oxford University Press. It's by Dr. Timothy Brain. There's a picture of it here if you can see it on the Flickr review that I and my wife have written. It's a relatively thin book. I haven't physically got it in front of me. The book is The History of Policing in England and Wales from 1974, subtitled A Turbulent Journey. And Dr. Brain has tried very hard to look at this subject afresh, and I think he succeeds. We've given it a title, that's my wife and I, Elizabeth and I, have given it a title, At Last, A History of Contemporary Policing by a Policeman. And that in itself, I think, is a very useful starting off point, because we've actually got something from a person with experience. And that is, of course, very important in an operational role of any sort. Why a history of the police, asks Dr. Brain, in one of the very pertinent subheads to his text. Well, why indeed? His short answer is that the full story of the police service's contribution to the survival of British democracy has yet to be told. That, of course, offers up a perspective on the police and police work that many people will find startling, given that the police as an institution are perceived to be not without flaws. We see lots of police programmes and there's a lot of stuff on the news regularly, so people are aware. This is why it makes Dr. Brain's formidable work of scholarship all the more valuable, with a lengthy list of credentials including Chief Constable of Gloucestershire from 2001 to 10 and visiting professor at the London South Bank and Gloucestershire Universities, an honorary senior research fellow at Cardiff University. He's got a pretty good pedigree. And Brain writes therefore from personal experience as a police officer with the discipline and detachment of the professional historian. And I'm aware that some in the rank and file of the police will not be seeing it in quite the same way, but I think this is a valuable contribution. It certainly is to applied criminology in any event. The book itself makes fascinating reading. As I say, you can see a picture of it. There's a little bit of red bit at the bottom, the stark black and white front cover. Quite a reasonably big book, but it's well worth reading. It does make fascinating reading because it's admirably filling what appears to be a yawning gap, not only in the availability of books on the subject of the police, but in any extensive examination of the police at all in standard histories or social analyses of contemporary Britain. Apart from obviously what we get on the television and a lot of opinion, certainly in blogs and so forth. Yes, there's T.A. Critchley's standard work, A History of the Police in England and Wales, but it stops in 1974, which means that Brain has very ably taken up Critchley's baton in this thoroughly comprehensive and readable volume, revealing the interaction between the great events of the turbulent post-1974 period. Remember, we had 2 elections that year, very unstable government, and contemporary politics and policing therefore came through. The book charts the evolution of the 43-4 structure of the police in England and Wales from its creation to the present day, and the problems that the new Home Secretary has got to face. Most noteworthy is the extent to which political decisions on the direction and ethos of policing reflect and in turn influence social change, including attempts at social reform. We've seen it with Jackie Smith, we saw Sir Ian Blair as he then was with some of the things in the Met. So you've got a much more interesting picture of what has been happening if you go back to the period when Sir Robert Mark in fact was heading the Met. You've got a fairly good idea of some of the things that have taken place. So in offering a perspective on contemporary social history that's almost unique, the book is a boon in our view to researchers in this field as well as to general readers, especially with its extremely useful 14-page bibliography, which shows the extent of Dr. Brain's researches, plus comprehensive index and so forth. As a near history of the very recent but rather distant past to some, the book will no doubt elicit its share of controversy and comment, but I think it's well worth having as a statement of what we've actually been through for those of us who've lived through that particular period. What isn't controversial is the erudition, insight and lucidity with which Brain, writing from experience, presents this important work, and I think we must thank him and OUP for producing this, as the debate about policing in 2010 with a new government this summer gains momentum, and we have a new Home Secretary, and we'll see what Theresa May has to make of it all as well. Thank you so much. Bye bye.